Prince has decoded the list of Riemann targets that you recovered from the vault. I want you to infiltrate one of these targets and determine why Obsec would attack it. The Vahar system is still technically part of the Romulan Star Empire, but Ferengi speculators have moved in, and the Empress has done nothing to remove them. The big-eared little money grubbers have reopened their mines and are now doing business with anyone with latinum. You will go to the Vahar system under the pretense of negotiating a trade deal for the Empire. Talk to Madron, the operator of the mines. Convince him to allow you access. Find out all you can. Once we know why Obsec and the Riemans are targeting these mines, then we will know how to proceed.
Melanie Dion and her minions may have sworn fealty to the Klingon Empire, but we did not. I've been me for no one. Leave now or be destroyed.
This moon is private property. No solicitors, beggars, or Klingons allowed.
Hello, my good friends. I'm so happy to meet you. Perhaps you are in the market for some high-quality magnesite? We have the finest ore in the quadrant. On behalf of the miners and residents here, I'm more than happy to welcome you to our home. Please transport to the surface. Unfortunately, the large amounts of extremely pure magnesite ore in the core of our little world will interfere with your sensors. For safety reasons, I must insist that you use the transporter signal enhancers that I have installed at my own expense. Also, I know Klingons are fond of their battle parties, but could you please restrict the number of crew you bring down to the surface? My people here aren't used to strangers, and you wouldn't want to disrupt their work, would you?
Did you need something? It's a long story. After the destruction of Romulus, I joined a group of colonists looking for a new place to settle. We chose to form a new agrarian community on Viranat, a pastoral world on the edge of Romulan space. Our colony was attacked and destroyed. I managed to evade the attackers and get off-world with a small group of people. My luck ran out here, and I've been stuck ever since. I'm a biochemist by trade. I specialize in hemocyanin, a division of hematology, working with copper-based blood. On Viranat, I handled a lot of issues related to food compatibility and local biochemistry. These days, I mostly handle minor medical issues and nutritional deficiencies for the people living here. I can't afford passage off of this moon. I've managed to stay out of debt, but I don't know how long that will last. I would be grateful for any chance to leave this place. I promise I will work hard.
My life is unimportant. It's my brother. I can't find him. I last saw him 2 days ago. Madron assigned both of us to work in the upper levels of the mine. Toshin's drill bit broke, and he needed a new one. I know I should have gone with him. It's not safe to be in the mine alone. Now he's gone. There's a group of people down there who treat the mine like it's their own. I don't know why Madron tolerates them, but they make life miserable for the rest of us. They steal and terrorize the weak. I once saw them dragging a woman to the lower levels, and I never saw her again. She wasn't the only one. Many people have disappeared. I thought if my brother and I kept our heads down, that we would be safe, but maybe they took him. Murderers. Murderers. If they killed my brother, I'll kill them all! If you go into the mine, watch for the silver spheres. There are creatures in the dark. Devils. They're made of stone. Nothing can hurt them, and their touch burns. I have seen them moving around in the tunnels. Anywhere you see the silver spheres, the monsters are not far away.
My family and I have been here all our lives. It's a hard life, but it's all I know. And my mother used to tell me tales of the home world. She'd talk about the plazas in Rateg or vacations she spent with her father on the shores of the Apnic Sea. And she would tell me about my father, who gave up his place in the military evacuation ship so she could live. He never knew he had a child. She would tell me these stories, and later, when she thought I was asleep, she would cry. He charges us too much and pays too little. He's like everyone else in this world, out for himself. But he doesn't let us starve. And if a child needs medicine, they get it. Many here grumble and hate him, but I cannot. If I were in his position and his life was in my hands, can I say that I would act any differently than he does? Stay in the settlement. Don't go down into the mine. And whatever you do, don't leave this area. I do not wish you harm, stranger. And there are many dangers here. There is a group. They rule the mine. And they are dangerous. Even Madron fears them. If you avoid them, they will ignore you. And defy them, and they will turn on you. Last week, a good man died because he would not give them what they wanted. He was not the first. There are many monsters on this moon that you would be wise to avoid. Outside of the settlement, there are packs of wild animals. If you take a warrigal from its mother when it's very young, it can be tamed. If you wait too long, they are savage. The packs of wild warrigal roam the edges of our settlement. Often they prowl the refuse piles, looking for scraps of food. A pack of warrigal can kill even a strong man. And you must be careful when you are in their territory. And they are not the only monsters here. The miners tell stories about creatures made of stone who can burn you to cinders. I have not seen one of these creatures myself, but I know that many people who enter the mine do not leave it. You're the first outsider I've seen in a long time. There's no reason for anyone to want to come here.
What can I say? We exist. I'm mine because there's nothing but rocks on this forsaken planet. If I'm lucky, I dig enough ore to make my quota and Madron pays me. If he pays me, I can eat and have a warm place to sleep. If we don't make our quotas, there's nothing. Even if I do have latinum, most of it goes to Modron to pay my debts, and the rest he takes in exchange for the supplies he imports. I would leave, but I owe too much to Modron to ever earn enough to buy my passage off this place. Besides, where would I go? Every morning, the first thing I do when I wake is curse that Ferengi's name. Modron found this moon about 2 years after the destruction of the homeworld. Most of our equipment was broken or useless, the supplies were gone, and we were starving. After some negotiations, Modron had his contract and we had food. We're supposed to be working with him, but he's the only one who benefits from our labor. Modron owns the only working ship here, so no supplies come in without him. He negotiates all of the ore contracts, so most of the latinum goes into his pocket. And he sets the prices for food, medicine, and equipment. So everyone here owes him more than we can ever repay. He owns us now. I hate him for that, but I can't live without him. A few people tried to take Modron's ship once, when he was sleeping off the Tranya he drinks. It has a biometric lock. Nothing on the ship responds to anyone but him. So what would we gain by fighting? A moon full of rocks and no one to sell them to? No food and no way to get more? No way to leave and no hope? I hate Modron, but because of him, my children don't cry out in hunger or shiver from the cold. The Empire? What Empire? Our empire turned to dust with the loss of the homeworld. If you're rich or in the military, then maybe there's something. I hear the people in Sila's shining city and the Rator system live quite well, as long as they obey her commands. For the rest of us, there's nothing but dust and regret.
On behalf of everyone on this forsaken rock, let me be the first to welcome you to Hathara. As you can see, we don't have time for pleasantries, and I'm not sharing my Tranya stash with you. So, why don't we skip the chit-chat and get down to business? Unfortunately, I cannot call this mine my own. I'm just a middleman. Out of the goodness of my heart, I help the residents here pass on the products of their hard work to commercial entities such as yourself. The minuscule transaction fee and trade tariff I keep to offset my expenses is figured into the unit cost of the ore. My operation has become one of the best in the area because of the high demand for my services from both sides. I provide the best mining equipment and supplies in the sector to the miners, while my customers get competitive pricing on the ore they need. I don't pay much attention to that. Miners have empty carts and they return with ones filled with ore. If you're that interested, you could visit the mines themselves, but I don't recommend it. It's such a dirty, disagreeable business. And I'm convinced that breathing ore dust for too long is terrible for you. The miners who live near my quarters used to keep me up night after night with their dreadful coughing. I had to install soundproofing just to get some sleep. Are you sure you wouldn't rather look at the ore I have for sale? Really? Suit yourself. Just remember, I have an exclusive contract to export magnesite ore from this moon. If you try to cut me out of your deals, you'll regret it.
I don't have time to talk to you right now. I need to repair this drill so I can make a living. Not unless you know an engineer who'd be willing to take a few moments out of their busy schedule to help me fix this hunk of junk.
I can't talk to you. I can't talk to anyone. I'm on the run. And if those thugs see me talking to you, then you'll be in danger too. I need someone who's not afraid of a fight. There's a group here that's beating and stealing from us. Madrin doesn't do anything to stop it. For all I know, he's getting a cut of everything they take. They're making life miserable for all of us. Would you be willing to help? There's a group of bullies that have been stealing from us. If we don't give them what they want, they beat us. I had a friend. All he was trying to do here was feed his family. Be a good man. He had an old bottle of ale. He said it was from the home world. One of those thugs wanted it. Now, my friend is dead. I'm too weak to stop them, I know that. And now I have my friend's children to feed in addition to my own. But if someone were to teach them a lesson, this camp would be a better place for all of us. Thank you. Those guys have been giving everyone a lot of trouble. These thugs are part of a larger group that operates deep inside the magnesite mine. They control the lower levels, and no one who goes down there uninvited ever comes back. I don't know what's so important down there that's worth hurting us to protect it. Maybe if you went down there, you could get some answers.
You want to go in the mine? Are you really interested in buying any magnesite? Or are you just here to cause trouble? Because if it's the latter, I know someplace you can start a little ruckus. There's a gang that controls the bottom levels of the mine. They won't even let me in there. Previously, I allowed them to keep their little kingdom in exchange for information. But lately, they've been more trouble than they're worth. And the intel they're feeding me is useless. Honestly, who doesn't know about the Breen invasion of Deferi space?
I give the orders here, Commander. You are out of line.
With all due respect, sir, there is a difference between protecting the Empire from her enemies and provoking
There is
them.
much here you do not understand, Jack. The Remans need to know their place. As do you. I will not forget your insubordination, Commander. The Tal Shiar has no place for officers who cannot follow orders. I'll be in the command center.
Colonel, they were civilians. Their blood is on our hands.
Get used to it. There will be more. Speaking of which, why don't you clean out the brig before you become a resident there?
I almost feel sorry for you, but I have my own neck to worry about. I'll be joining you in there soon enough. If Hakiv has his way, we all will. Enough! I surrender. I value my life more than the Tal Shiar's secrets. I'll tell you anything you want to know. But first, you must tell me why you are here and what you want. The Remans know about this base? Impossible! Only the leadership of the Tal Shiar know we're here. The Empress herself couldn't find us. I don't believe you, but it makes no difference. This is not a military installation. We listen and record here. Nothing more. There are many targets that those Reman scum would find much more tempting. Are you sure you want to end things like this?
Superiors. It's disappointing I cannot give you a proper interrogation, but I have much to do in little time. The self-destruct sequence has begun. This base will be your tomb.
have you done to my mind? Tal Shiar? I'm shocked. I had no idea. I certainly wouldn't have sent you down there if you... Say, you didn't happen to find anything valuable down there, did you? Because if you did, remember, I have an exclusive contract. And what's it to you? This is a rough area of the Quadrant, you know, and they're good neighbors. If you're not easily embarrassed. Their cameras and listening devices are everywhere. I haven't had a single problem with Orions or Herodians since they moved in. And it doesn't hurt that I acquired the odd bit of information here and there. I'm a businessman, and information is big business. Unfortunately, no. I'll admit, I found out, but their systems were locked down tight. I'm sure whatever it was had to be big news. Everyone was on edge. Janik and Hakiv were barely speaking, and I once heard Hakiv mumbling something about orders. Someone's been pulling his strings, but I don't know who. I do know that Tal Shiar takes security very seriously. If you manage to pull any files from their system, you can expect them to be heavily encoded. Trust me on that. I speak from experience. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go talk 100 Romulans into digging a new mine to replace the one you destroyed. My profit margin for this month is ruined.
Obasek is justified in his anger. The Tal Shiar records you recovered from their listening post indicate that they have been tormenting the Remans for months. Their bases have been attacked, their ships destroyed, and their families killed or imprisoned. There is no more to pick up a blade than to defend your home and family. However, Obasek was willing to use Thaleron weapons to destroy a handful of Tal Shiar operatives. Using a hammer to swat a globfly is not the warrior's way. It is madness. Hakiv had a working Iconian gateway? Finally, the pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place. We know that the Iconians survived the destruction of their homeworld. Now we know that they are active in Romulan space, and apparently using these gladiatorial combats as a way to test the species of the Alpha Quadrant. Klingon intelligence will analyze the data you recovered from Hakiv's command center. I must confer with Chancellor Jimpok. We have fought one ancient enemy and won. If the Iconians seek conflict with the Empire, we will destroy them as well. I agree. The Iconians are a cause for concern. Their motives are still unknown to us, as are their plans for the Quadrant. What we do know is that they desire chaos. Many of the problems we currently face can be directly traced back to their machinations. If they had not antagonized the Undine, would we be at war with the Federation today? They push us into battles that drain our resources. They fracture the powers of the Quadrant so that no one will be able to stand against them when they finally arrive. They must be stopped. I do not fear these demons of air and darkness. Let them come. The Empire will defeat them.